The kitchen cure, cooking up cash. Imagine walking into your kitchen, the smell of sizzling garlic or baking bread wafting through the air, and feeling it, a subtle hum, a spark of energy, a quiet promise that money's on the way. This isn't just a cozy fantasy, it's the raw, transformative power of your kitchen when it's tuned right. In Feng Shui, your kitchen isn't just where you whip up dinner, it's where you cook up prosperity. The stove, tied to the fire element, is the beating heart of wealth, a symbol of transformation that turns raw potential into tangible riches. For 40 years, I've walked into kitchens across the globe, greasy diners in Texas, sleek lofts in New York, crumbling shacks in rural Vietnam, and seen one truth hold firm: a neglected kitchen keeps you broke, but a vibrant one turns into a cash machine with a few simple tweaks. I've spent 4 decades mastering this, watching struggling artists sell out galleries, failing businesses boom, and families climb out of debt, all because they fired up their stoves and fixed their faucets. This isn't fluff, it's physics, energy harnessed with intention. Today, I'm spilling every secret I've gathered, breaking down 3 rock-solid fixes: keep the stove hot, mirror the burners, and fix what's broken, backed by real-life stories that'll make you drop this article, grab a spatula, and start cooking before the ink dries. Ready to turn your kitchen into a wealth factory? Let's light the fire. Why the kitchen rules wealth, the fire of fortune. Before we dive into the how-to, let's talk why. In Feng Shui, the kitchen is a powerhouse, a sacred space where energy transforms. The stove, linked to the fire element, is the star. Fire doesn't just cook, it creates, sustains, and shifts raw materials into something valuable. It's a mirror for wealth. Nurture it, and money grows. Ignore it, and your finances stay cold as a dead ember. I learned this early, back in 1986, shadowing a master in Taipei. We visited a merchant family whose kitchen gleamed but sat unused. They lived on takeout. Their textile business was flatlining, barely breaking even. Cook something, the master barked. They started using the stove, simple stir-fries, steamed rice, and within months, profits climbed 30%. Orders poured in, clients returned. The stove woke up our luck, the wife said. That lesson stuck with me: an idle kitchen equals idle money. Over 40 years, I've seen it play out in every corner of the world: city apartments, suburban homes, even a fisherman's hut in Maine where a cold stove meant empty nets. The kitchen isn't just a room, it's a wealth engine, and the stove is the ignition. But it's not just about fire. The kitchen's flow, pipes, lights, surfaces, matters too. A leak drains chi, a broken bulb dims opportunity. Fix it all, and you're not just cooking dinner, you're cooking up cash. Let's break it down with 3 fixes I've honed over decades, each backed by stories that'll light a fire under you. Fix number 1, keep the stove hot, fire up your finances. Here's the first truth I've drilled into every client from Seattle to Singapore: an unused stove is a dead stove and dead money. Fire it up often, even if it's just boiling water or toasting bread. The act of cooking stirs chi, ignites transformation, and sends a signal to the universe: I'm alive, I'm creating, I'm ready for more. Over 40 years, I've seen this simple habit turn cold wallets into hot cash flows. The Seattle artist's $10,000 turnaround. Take Emily, a struggling artist I met in 2009 in Seattle. She was 31, living in a cluttered studio apartment, surviving on instant noodles and despair. Her paintings, bold, swirling abstracts, piled up unsold, and her bank account mocked her dreams. I walked into her kitchen, a tiny nook with a microwave humming and a stove untouched for weeks. "Why don't you cook?" I asked. She shrugged. "No time, no point." "Start using it daily," I said. "Even if it's just tea, fire up that stove." She grumbled but gave in, pulling out a dented pot to make soups, stir-fries, anything. The smell of food filled her space, and something shifted. 3 months later, her phone rang. A local gallery wanted her work. She sold out that weekend, $10,000 in sales. "It's like the stove woke up my career," she said, laughing. That wasn't coincidence, it was energy. Cooking didn't just feed her body, it fed her wealth. The Ohio truck driver's scrap metal surge. In 1998, I met Tom, a truck driver in Ohio. He was 45, hauling freight for pennies, barely scraping by. His kitchen had a stove rusted, cold, a relic from the 70s. He lived on fast food, never touching it. Cook something, I told him. He started frying eggs, grilling burgers, nothing fancy. A month later, his side hustle hauling scrap metal took off. Clients called out of nowhere, and his earnings tripled, from $500 to $1,500 monthly. "That stove's my lucky charm," he said. Fire stirred chi, and cash followed. The deeper lesson. Cooking isn't just practical, it's symbolic. Every flame you light says, "I'm here, I'm active, I'm open to abundance." I've seen it everywhere. In 2004, a teacher in Portland started baking bread, her tutoring gig doubled. In 2011, a mechanic in Tulsa fired up his stove, repair jobs poured in. An idle stove is a missed opportunity, a hot one is a wealth magnet. Your action plan. Walk to your kitchen right now. When's the last time you used your stove? Tonight, cook something, boil water, fry an egg, heat soup. Make it a habit 3 times a week, then daily. Feel the heat, smell the food, and picture money simmering with it. Keep it hot, and watch your finances ignite. Fix number 2, mirror the burners, double your dough. Here's a Feng Shui classic that's pure gold. Place a mirror behind your stove to double your burners and your wealth symbolically. More burners mean more transformation, more opportunities, more cash. It's an optical trick for chi, amplifying the stove's power like a megaphone for prosperity. Over 40 years, I've seen this tweak land TV deals, boost sales, and turn small kitchens into big moneymakers. The LA Chef's TV break. In 2015, I met Juan, a chef in Los Angeles. He was 38, running a tiny taco joint in East LA, dreaming of fame but stuck in the grind. His kitchen was tight, stove against a bare wall, no room to breathe. "Add a mirror," I said. We found a slim, $15 mirror at a thrift store and wedged it behind the burners. "It's like doubling my hustle," he joked, wiping salsa off his hands. 6 months later, a producer scouted his spot, loved the vibe, loved the tacos. Juan landed a cooking show deal, $100,000 upfront, a life changer. "That mirror's my lucky break," he swore, calling me from the set. It wasn't luck, it was energy. The reflection doubled his stove's power, signaling abundance. His hustle met opportunity, and the cash rolled in. The Atlanta baker's order boom. In 2003, I worked with Lisa, a baker in Atlanta. Her small shop churned out muffins, but profits were thin. Her kitchen stove faced a blank wall, 4 burners, no spark. We hung a mirror, cheap, scratched, but it worked. Orders doubled in a year, catering gigs, wholesale deals, $20,000 extra monthly. "It's like the mirror baked the money," she said. Doubling burners doubled her dough. The deeper lesson. Mirrors don't just reflect light, they reflect potential. In Feng Shui, they amplify what's there, and behind the stove, they scream, "More wealth, please." I've seen it in tiny apartments and sprawling homes. In 1993, a writer in Chicago added a mirror, her freelance gigs tripled. In 2010, a diner owner in Texas did it, revenue jumped 40%. It's a small tweak with a massive payout. Your action plan. Check your stove, can you fit a mirror behind it? Grab one, small, cheap, anything works. Hang it securely, no fire hazards, step back, and picture your wealth doubling with every burner. Clean it weekly, smudges dull chi, see the reflection, feel the boost. Fix number 3, fix what's broken, stop the drain. A leaky faucet dripping, a bulb flickering, tiles cracked underfoot, these aren't just annoyances, they're wealth drains, siphoning chi and money out of your life. Fix them fast, and you're not just repairing a kitchen, you're repairing your bank account. Over 40 years, I've seen broken kitchens break finances, and cured kitchens cure poverty. The Texas family's bakery boom. In 2012, I met the Garcias, a family in Texas whose bakery chain, 3 small shops, was teetering on collapse. I walked into their home kitchen, the heart of their planning. Tiles cracked underfoot, a bulb flickered like a dying star, and the stove sat cold, unused for months. "This is killing your business," I said. They were skeptical, sales were down 20%, creditors calling, but desperate. We revamped it, replaced tiles with warm terracotta, swapped the bulb for a bright LED, oiled the stove hinges. Cook every night, I told them. They started baking bread at home, testing recipes. 6 months later, those recipes fueled a menu overhaul, sales soared, and they opened 3 new locations, pulling in $50,000 extra monthly. The kitchen saved us, Mrs. Garcia said, tears in her eyes. That flickering light had dimmed their luck, fixing it lit the way to riches. The Chicago widow's inheritance. In 1990, I met Helen, a widow in Chicago. Her savings were vanishing, $500 here, $1,000 there, and she couldn't figure out why. Her kitchen had a dripping faucet, a steady plink-plink that echoed her losses. Fix it, I said. We tightened the valve, stopped the leak, and I told her to cook weekly. 2 months later, she called, shocked. An uncle she'd forgotten left her $15,000 in his will. The drip was my money, she said. Plug the leak, plug the loss. The deeper lesson. Broken things aren't neutral, they're thieves. Leaks waste water, wealth, dim lights dim opportunity, cracked surfaces crack stability. I've seen it everywhere. In 2000, a barber in Philly fixed a burnt-out bulb, clients doubled. In 2017, a nurse in Miami patched a cracked counter, her bonus jumped 30%. Repair the kitchen, repair the cash flow. Your action plan. Inspect your kitchen now. Leaky faucet? Tighten it or call a plumber. Burnt out bulb? Replace it, bright, warm light. Cracked tiles? Patch or swap them. Test your stove, does it work? Oil hinges, clean burners. Fix one thing today, then keep going. No drains, no losses.